Hello, Michelle back with another spooky Reddit read. You can be able to tell today I had a topic. I just got into the cryptids a little bit in my thoughts the other night, so I have another cryptid one to share with you. This one is titled Michigan Dogman, ? It is posted on a subreddit from about 7 years ago. This happened when I was about 7 years old to my uncle. He's no longer with us, and I want to share his story. Growing up, I lived in northern Michigan on about 5,000 acres of farm and ranch land that backed into state land. Nothing but miles of forest and pasture could be seen. Needless to say, it made us pretty tough, and it takes a lot to spook us. We were all avid hunters, fishermen, and outdoorsmen. Being the only girl, I was raised as a tomboy, and I'm just the same. My uncle went off to join the military, becoming a senior NCO in a prominent Special Forces division of the U.S. Navy. He was 6'4", built like a wrestler, and obviously skilled in survival tactics, and nothing rattled him. He was home on leave and went out hunting as it was deer season. I remember him coming in the house, shaking and crying, saying he saw something in the woods. My uncle never cried. He was as tough as nails and would tear someone to shreds before he let them make him cry. My grandmother tried to get him to make sense, but he kept saying he saw Bigfoot mixed with a wolf. My granny immediately got my grandfather, and he rounded up the rest of the guys hunting. My dad, a few male cousins, my uncle, who was still terrified but went because he didn't want to be labeled a chicken, got all of their pew-pews and ammunition and saddled the horses to go clear the woods. Apparently, they were aware of the Dogman, but I was blissfully young and ignorant. They told me to stay inside, and for no reason was I to step outside of our house until they returned. I had never heard my dad or grandfather so serious, so I hid in my room. Sunset comes, and they still aren't back, and I'm really worried at this point because they never stayed in the woods until after dark. Shortly, I heard the sounds of the horses running to the barn and their voices. I was so relieved. They looked troubled when they came into the house, but didn't say anything, probably not to spook me. At dinner, my dad laid down the law, and I was no longer allowed to play outside or go in the barns alone. I had to have my grandfather with me at all times. Of course, I was upset by this, and I felt my independence was taken away, but I obeyed. The next morning, my dad and grandfather taught me how to shoot. I knew this was serious. I overheard the adults talking the next night. Apparently, there were tracks where my uncle had a sighting bigger than a wolf could make, but they were definitely dog tracks. As I said before, we are avid outdoorsmen, and hunters can identify tracks easily, but these couldn't be identified. About 8 foot up in the tree were claw marks. No Michigan bear could make those. We also found claw marks of about the same height on multiple trees throughout our property. Had cattle mutilated, and not in the way a coyote or bear would, and it lasted the whole winter. We lost about 30 to 40 cattle that winter, all of them mutilated, all with the same wolf/dog tracks in the snow. I really feel like this experience changed my uncle. Who knows, he did multiple tours in the Middle East for Desert Storm and Operation Iraqi Freedom before he unfortunately made a bad decision to unalive himself. After that experience, he was never the same. He went from not ever drinking to never seeing him without a bottle of Jack, and his eyes were always haunted. He changed his personality, and he never went out in the woods again. He quit hunting. He eventually just quit coming home to visit on leave. He didn't even come home for my dad's funeral 2 years later. It was heartbreaking to see him deteriorate the way he did. I truly believe he saw something out there, and it ultimately was responsible for the decision that he made. First, I want to say, how sad I am that this man chose to unalive himself. It's never that bad. So if you're ever feeling that, just know that there are people who want you here, and to reach out to people. There are people who will listen. That's a very sad part of the story. I honestly did not make it to the bottom when I kind of found this one, and I found it interesting. So that was a little bit of shocker, tearing me up a little bit. So I'm sorry for what that family has went through. The experience is still very interesting. So getting back to that, I don't know that I believe the experience itself is responsible for his emotional state. I want to put that out there first. I'm sure that he saw some things in the military. So I think it's probably more likely a PTSD story, which is heartbreaking. But I'm not saying that on top of that, going through something like this, if it was bad enough it scared him out of the woods for good, you know, like it was a substantial experience for him because he had always spent his time in the woods and clearly couldn't wait to come home and go hunting. And then that's just it. He never hunts again. So it's sad that this paranormal encounter took away something that he loved, which was the outdoors and being comfortable and happy in the outdoors. Now, there's 30 to 40 cattle mutilations. They sound like a family that would know what it would be like if a predator, like a bear, did unalive their stock, that they would kind of know what that would look like. So the fact that this winter was different and they describe it being different and these large dog tracks, you know, I do tend to believe that they went through whatever this is. And I've heard Dogman stories, and you know what? Just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean that I don't think it's possible. So do I think this is a possible cryptid encounter for this family? Yes, I do. I honestly do. I just hope that things got better for them in the long run. Sounds like they went through a lot of loss, so I'm sad for that family, but I hope maybe they got to keep their property and start enjoying it again at some point. So thanks for listening, and I really appreciate you. If you're here, drop in the comments and let me know if you think this was a real Dogman encounter or perhaps something else. And as always, please hit those buttons for me and hit that repost. And I'm sorry, I know I ask that a lot, but my views are down substantially, even with all of your support. So every share and repost or whatnot, like, it really helps me. So I appreciate you guys so much. Have a wonderful day, and I'll probably see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.